Talking to a true gentleman of the NFC North, a very beloved Lions alum, Nate Burleson. Thank you so much for joining us. How excited are you to get back to the Motor City?
I'm excited. Anytime I have a chance to head back to Detroit, I get excited. I can't wait to, feel the city, feel the people, get ready for the game. And we have one hell of a matchup. I mean, come on now. It's the Bills, Lions. Both teams are playing unbelievable. And to be honest, you have two MVP candidates. I know we're talking about Josh Allen all year long, but we failed to mention that Jared Goff is having an unbelievable year and needs to be mentioned in that conversation.
Two incredible guys who know how to throw, really make these high-octane offenses go. What is it like for you to see this franchise pop off the way it has been, even starting with last year, but really steamrolling through this season for Detroit?
I love everything about this season for Detroit. This was everything that we hoped for and worked for, and by no means am I or anyone from my era of the Detroit Lions trying to take credit for where this team is, but we did exercise some demons. I remember when I signed with the Detroit Lions, there were guys in the locker room that didn't want to be here. There were people across the league that laughed at us. I remember one of my buddies who played for an opposing team. He was like, "You guys are like the homecoming game. Like, we know we're going to get a dub when we face Shaw." And then slowly but surely, we started exercising all of these small little hills and getting over them. And then all of a sudden, we're relevant again. And then we make it to the playoffs. So to see Dan Campbell come in, have intention behind his message, people make fun of him talking about kneecap soup and taking people down with him and fighting and clawing and scratching. But guess what? The team reflects that. And it's a bigger reflection of the city. I just hope that this team continues to play the way they're playing. They have a push through the playoffs, and they bring home a Lombardi trophy. There's only a couple of fan bases that, me personally, that I would love to see win a championship. And Detroit, for me, bias included, at the top of that list.
I know everybody here is taking that manifestation and energy. Are you in touch with any of your former teammates, speaking of that era, talking about what it's like to be watching this?
Yeah, I talk to Calvin all the time, Stephen Tulloch, Joik Bell, Mo Morris. There's a bunch of guys that I keep in contact. Dominic Riola. That crew were really nice. Matt Stafford, we talk every once in a while. But, this is what we used to sit back and literally powwow about. Like, we would have moments where all of those guys I would name, we'd get together, just us, just the fellas, some dinner, a few drinks, and we would talk about a time when Detroit was not just relevant and competitive, but when we were the best, when we would become the best team in the NFL. And through the extension of our alumni status, through us vicariously living through this squad, we're extremely happy for where this team is at. And we're all cheering for Detroit. We're all happy.
It's been awesome to see this franchise really open their arms even wider to some of those alumni as well, having Calvin back in the mix. It's really good energy. But let's go through some of these photos. I want you to tell me what you see when we pull up this photo right here. You got the cornrows and everything.
Yeah, that's young Nate channeling his Allen Iverson. This is when I was rocking the braids. Listen, when you see my hair change, it's a personality change. So I was at the end of my career, and I was just kind of in that space where I'm like, I'm going to let it all hang out. Like, I'm going to grow my hair out. I'm going to go hard. I got a few more tattoos and add it to the collection. And I took on the leadership role in a team that needed some leadership and some direction. But on the flip side, I also took on the villain role on the field. For all those teams and all those cities, they used to dog Detroit, dog the Lions, dog sports in Michigan. I wanted to be the guy that wore that black hat. I wanted to be the villain that went on the road and was talking crazy to their fan bases and mocked their favorite player's celebration. I remember going into the locker room one day and I was like, look, we might not be mathematically in it. This was towards the end of one of our earlier seasons. And I looked at Calvin and I was like, let's just be the villains. Let's just be the bad boys. Let's go in and disrespect all of their DBs, make fun of their favorite players, and let's bump and bruise these good teams, so-called good teams, before they head to the playoffs. And Calvin, a man of few words, was like, all right, I got you.
And that was it. Bad boy
and that was
energy
when
is
the
so
mindset
central
changed.
here.
And the year after that, we started winning.
I love it. It's you had to set it in motion. That AI energy is still strong out here. The bad boy energy is still strong. But let's go to the second photo. Speaking of the Bills matchup, we've got you running for the ball here, and look at who is trying to tackle you.
Yeah, I don't know if I was fumbling the ball or trying to catch the ball. The thing about the Bills is they beat you up, and they've always been like that. Even dating back to my earlier days in the NFL, from the Minnesota Vikings, Seattle Seahawks, and of course the Detroit Lions. Like, these matchups were always a team that played with that energy of the 90s. And what I mean by that is a team that felt like the football gods owed them something. If you're familiar with the Buffalo Bills, you know their history. Going to 4 Super Bowls and losing all of them in the 90s, like, that's wild. And that type of negative cloud, that just follows you everywhere you go. No matter how good the team is, no matter what the record is, doesn't matter if you have an MVP candidate like Josh Allen or a great coach like Sean McDermott, you still have those memories of the past. And these guys are playing with that. And until they go out there and get that Lombardi, this will be that team that is still picking up the pieces from the fallout of that 90s Bills team.
We've got some very cursed histories going up against each other this weekend. Okay, last photo to look at. This might be my favorite. You see the What Up Doe on the undershirt. Is there anything more Detroit than this vibe?
Yeah, this might be my favorite Detroit Lions photo. I knew I was going to rock that. I knew I was going to get fined, and I took that fine. I didn't care. It was more of my message to the people. Because when I first got there, I was excited about joining the team, and then I got banged up, and I was out for a few weeks. And I know the fan base was like, who the hell is this Nate Burleson dude that came from Seattle? He hasn't done anything. And then I was like, all right, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fresh. We got the pink for the breast cancer awareness. I'm about to rock the What Up Doe in the intro. And I think I actually scored a touchdown in this game, and I punted the ball into the stands. But, yeah, this was my salute to Detroit. Detroit has always felt like an adopted parent to me. As soon as I got there, I embodied what Detroit stands for, which is wake up, hustle, blue-collar attitude. And I think people respected me for that. And I also gave back to the city. I wasn't shy to be on the block, be in places maybe I shouldn't have been, because I wanted to give back to the community, the inner city, and the people that showed us so much love. But as I always say, man, Detroit, what up, though?
And so much of that energy is still with this receiver group. J-Mo, out and about in the community, making himself present. What do you see in these receivers, J-Mo, Saint, but also Montgomery and Gibbs getting in the passing game too?
Yeah, shout out to Sonic and Nussles. The receiving core is amazing. Amon-Ra St. Brown is an absolute beast. He'll go down as one of the greatest wide receivers to put on a Lions jersey. J-Mo with that electric speed. You can use him in so many different ways. Got to give Sam Laporta a shout out too, man. I mean, I know he's an extension of the offensive line, but really when he starts running routes, I don't think there's too many players better. And then the way he high points the ball, tremendous hands in the backfield, pure speed and power. That's the beautiful thing about the yin and yang of Sonic and Knuckles, Montgomery and Gibbs. But with all that said, you have all these pieces, right? You still need a guy that is going to captain the ship. And that's why I feel like Jared Goff isn't getting the respect he deserved. Jared Goff, in so many ways, has shut up the haters. Remember when they made that trade? Stafford, we saluted him. He went to the Rams, and he won that Super Bowl, and everybody was like, Jared Goff will finish off his career in Detroit or wherever. You know, it's one of those places where it's where your career goes to die. So it'll fizzle out, and it'll be a decent career. He made a ton of money. That's fine. Jared Goff was like, hell no. Like, I'm a great quarterback. I took my team to the Super Bowl. I know what it's like to win games. Listen, if this team builds around the type of talent that I bring to the table, add in pieces on offense and defense, get the right coaches, and the head coach delegates proper responsibility to the assistant coaches, I'll show you how good I am. And that's exactly what Jared Goff is doing. So, yeah, a ton of talent around him, but you still need a quarterback that can deliver the ball.
My cheeks are literally hurting from smiling so hard from hearing you talk about your team this way. We love that you're coming back to town, but we know you have a lot of tape to watch. Coming down to the final push in the race for the 1 seed in the NFC North, you've been known to make a prediction or two before. How do you see this final part of the season shaping out here?
Everybody in the NFC, you got to go through Detroit the way it should be. Just like when Motown was popping, you got to go through Detroit. I just feel like the way that this team is playing, they have shown that they don't waver. Like they have been through it. They had an early loss on, and they were like, all right, we're good. They had that 5-interception game against the Houston Texans, and Jared Goff was like, I'm going to shake that off. Came back the next week balling. I feel like they've been through the worst. Early loss in the season, they recovered. That 5-interception game, still won it. Aiden Hutchinson goes down. They retool, bring in Za'Darius. Like, this is a team that have been through all of the ups and downs. Everything that a season can throw you in a negative way, the Detroit Lions have seen it. So now you just got to finish the race. You've already went through the hard part. Just continue to apply pressure every single game. As long as the Lions show up every game and they don't adjust their game plan for the opponent, they walk in as the big dogs, as the Lions that they are, roaring loud and proud, and understanding that a team has to game plan for them, not the opposite way around, they'll be okay, and we'll see them in New Orleans.
Well, we've got the first finish line in sight with the regular season almost coming to a close here within a couple weeks. Nate, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to have you back home.
All right. I can't wait to be there.